everybody, my name's Caleb Roth. I am with Stain and Seal Experts, and I want to do a quick video today to show you guys just a little bit about why you should choose a professional contractor to do your fence or deck stain and seal project. So this is our company here. We're a service-based company out of Nashville, Tennessee, and we also make oil-based, water-based, both fence and deck stain and sealers and wood restoration products. Here is our web store. So a little background into the reason I wanted to make this video was because I got some pictures this morning from one of our clients on a deck that they sent us, and they basically want to see what we can do about fixing this deck. And so I thought it was a great opportunity to show a less desirable stain job. And so I'm going to point out a few things here that we see pretty commonly with stain jobs that were either do it yourself, or maybe a contractor they hired who really didn't know what they were doing, had never done it before. And I'm going to show you those common mistakes and how you can avoid them if you're a contractor, and what you want to be aware of if you're a homeowner. So this first picture here that we can see, I'm going to use my scroller as a pointer here to show you what I'm looking for as a contractor, the mistakes they made. So the first thing that I noticed, I'm starting at the ground, is right along this little small concrete pad at the base of the steps. I can see that maybe some type of masking was attempted, but it didn't work, and there's quite a bit of stain, and this is a water-based stain, it looks like, over top of the deck, film forming water base, which would not have been my first choice, and we'll talk more about that later. But another thing, as I work my way up, I'm noticing runs. I see a lot of runs here. Up this right handrail, the framework, I can see runs there, and then on the top side I can see a lot of runs. So I'm also noticing that this deck was sprayed and it was not back brushed. If they had back brushed this deck, which is required on decking, they would not have had these runs. Another thing that I'm seeing as I go up this, I'm seeing more runs. They're subtle down the side of the stringers here, and the step risers, but also the spindles. The stain, there's some thick globs on it, but there's some thin places also. Now these spindles here seem to have the most amount of stain, most likely because these could be stained from the ground. I can see somebody standing on the ground right in this area, and they could easily reach all of these spindles. As we work our way up, I see the rest of the spindles really didn't get much, if any, stain at all on the front and on the sides. And that's another indicator. The spindles really, that's very important to stain those, because that's part of the deck surface, but also to protect and preserve the wood, we've got to get a coating or a stain and sealer on the wood. So this just really is not going to protect it. And as you can see, I don't know how long it's been since this has been done, but we're already starting to see that the wood's turning gray, and that's just going to continue to get worse if there's no coverage there. And as I look a little closer to the vinyl siding here, I can see a big splatter and a lot of overspray on the house. It kind of looks like they might have done a little masking right up close with tape, but it wasn't enough. It just really wasn't enough, and there's stain all over the house. If this was a penetrating oil-based stain, this could have come clean from the house pretty easily, but because this is a film-forming water-based stain, this is stuck. It's just like paint on the house. So it's going to take a pretty good act of elbow grease or act of Congress to get that off the house. That's a big deal. So let's move on to the next picture here, and look on this side of the screen, on the right side, down around the bottom of these posts here and here. I'm seeing no back brushing. They didn't do anything to get that bottom coated. And again, we see more naked spindles that just really didn't get any stain or enough stain added. And then down at the bottoms here, we've got runs. And again, guys, this is kind of a worst case scenario here. This isn't something that we see every day, but it is very common, and it's something you just got to look out for. let's see what we can do to, where's our other pictures at? All right, and now let's take a look at this picture here. This is a little closer view from the other side of the deck. I'm gonna start from left and go right. So on top of this handrail, I see more runs. I see, you know, more of this stuff here. So what we're looking at, again, there was no back brushing done. And again, water-based product is not very forgiving in application, so it's tough. Same thing, we got runs along the bottom of this wrap board. And again, looks like they really did a good job on this post on the front side. They got product there, but didn't get it on the other side. So I don't know what happened. And then these spindles, again, maybe a faint amount of stain in some areas, but maybe at the tops and on this top rail, but nothing on the spindles to protect them from the weather. And then as we go to the far right, again, we see a lot of overspray on the house, like a lot. I don't know how this happens. This just blows my mind when I see this, but it's very common, and it just drives me nuts. And then down along the house. So what we do, and most contractors are going to do when they approach a project like this, is they're going to wrap plastic from all the way around the corner of the house, all the way across the back of the deck, all the way over, somewhere probably into this area over here, 8 to 10 feet past the deck. And because we're not really spraying anything underneath, they probably won't spray, they probably won't mask this area. But this area down here, the brick on the side, they would either mask it or keep it wet with water and a degreaser or a surfactant like a soap. And the reason they do that with the oil-based stains is because if this is wet and you keep it wet, if a little overspray got on there, it would not stick. It would rinse right away. So I recommend masking it and then use water as a backup. And we would keep this under here wet as well. When you're spraying these spindles, another thing that we're not really able to see here is overspray on the grass. A lot of guys are gonna spray these spindles on this deck without masking the ground. And what you're gonna end up with is a bunch of brown grass that's got stain all over it. And that's easily avoidable by putting drop cloths or plastic down on the ground. If it's really hot and it's summertime, and let's say this is a garden or something, plastic could be a bad choice because it could create a greenhouse effect and it could burn the grass up, burn the foliage, burn the plants. So if you get that situation, what you can do is if it's not too hot, you can just wet the grass down, put the plastic on it, and then put a little water on top of the plastic just to hold it in place. Or if it's really hot, you can use drop cloths and sheets, bed sheets. And if you're worried about your sheets blowing away in the wind, you can just once you lay the sheet over top of a plant, just wet it down. The water will hold the sheet in place, and then you can stain your deck. So let's go to the next photo. Let's see here. That is, I believe that's actually all of them. Yeah, so that's all the photos I wanted to show you. But again, a couple of things that would have really made this job go a lot easier is cutting in the bottom of the post first. Cutting in this bottom rail, then masking the concrete step, masking the house, and then you can spray. And I'm going to show you some application techniques from some of our crew guys, what they're doing. So here's Joey, he's on a deck, and you can kind of see the difference in these oil-based stains. They're going to have a lot richer color, but he's just getting started with a stain mitt here. You notice he's wearing a glove, and then he's got a stain mitt on. And the stain mitt allows you to get all the way around the spindles. You can grab it and you can run your hand right up and down the spindles, and you can really do a full coat on the spindles, which is really nice. And we're not spraying. Again, if we were spraying this, we would have the house masked, but we've got plants and shrubs around here, so they just gonna do this one by hand. And let's take a look at Cody here. What is Cody doing? Cody's just, so what he's doing here, you're seeing him getting the end grain. So the end grain, and this is really a commonly neglected thing that we see. And you choose a professional contractor, they're gonna pay attention to detail like this, and they're gonna get that end grain of the wood there, because that is where a lot of moisture wicks in and out of the wood. So that little roller that we call those hot dog rollers, those things work good. They do a good job. You can get your outside wrap, and you can get the end grain with those, and you can get the bottoms of these spindles also, seal those up nice. Let's see, Joey's gotten a little further on the spindles. So the cool thing about this is it probably, well, I'll tell you how fast it is. In the last picture, Joey was on 2 knees right in front of himself, and he's done this so quickly that he's not even moved. He's just stayed in one place, and he's just gone onto 1 knee, and he's getting that last spindle there. So he's probably done these spindles in less than 2 minutes. Really fast to use a wiping mitt for your spindles. You can do the floors with them. You can do a lot of other things with them as well. And so here's the look from the back side. He's done these spindles from where he is, but he's got the back side, and you can see he got a lot. He's still got to go in here and cut these little areas in here. Still need to touch up this end grain, but that's a pretty fast and effective way to get the stain job done. And then he can come and cut this in right next to the house with a brush, and we never have to worry, did we get stain on the house from overspray? And if you're a stain contractor, it's a great way to do small decks. It's quick and easy, and very, very low mess. And homeowners, they feel great knowing that we're not making a mess in your backyard. So just a couple of reasons why you would want to hire a good contractor to do this, and not somebody who maybe doesn't do this every day. The problem with a lot of these coatings, and the problem with this deck that we're looking at up here, is the person who applied this, they were not familiar with the product. They didn't know how it was going to react. They didn't know what to do. They just followed the instructions, which said, use a pump-up sprayer and put it on, and that's probably what they did. So I'm going to start looking at a few pictures of some professionally done jobs and kind of show you the difference. So this is a job, I think this one was one of our guys in Georgia did this one, if I'm not mistaken. This is light honey stain on a treated pine deck. It's a really nice deck. It's got 2x6 floorboards instead of 5/4, so it's a heavy duty deck. But and this product here was applied. It's a penetrating oil-based stain. It's made by Stain and Seal experts here, and it's predictable. So when you use a product over and over, you're going to get predictable results, both short-term and long-term. We know how it's going to apply, we know how it's going to look, and we know what it's going to perform like over the long term. And so therefore we can, as a contractor, you're better able to suggest maintenance intervals to your clients, which is a big thing. If you're thinking about getting your deck stained, you need to use a contractor who uses a product they're familiar with and who knows what to do long term to keep it looking great. So a lot of times contractors hear from homeowners and they say, well, we would like to use our stain. We buy the stain and you guys just come do the job. And we're just at Stain and Seal Experts, we won't do that. And I think most other contractors are the same for that reason. They need to use a product they're familiar with and that they can apply properly. So here's a job. It's not finished. You can see it's in the cleanup stages. There's a little tape on the ground over here in the grass. These are some wiping rags that we keep on a truck. Just, if we get stain on something, we can wipe it off. It looks like they've got a trash bag there with some trash in it. And I see masking paper that was just pulled down. And I still see a couple pieces of tape that they're going to have to stick a ladder up there and get the tape down. This pump-up sprayer, when you see this in the backyard, usually this indicates, not, when you've got a contractor out there, it usually doesn't mean that that's what they've sprayed the stain on with. Usually that this is what they have used for emergencies. This is probably a degreaser in here. I can see it's got a purple cast to it. This is a degreaser, we call it cleanup, that we make here at Stain and Seal Experts for us. And if we get stain on something, we can clean it up with that product right there. It works great. It's good insurance. And you know, on this deck here, obviously they didn't have that in place. So another reason to use a contractor is because they know how to clean up their stain if they make a mistake. And so they're at the finishing stages of this project here, and you're gonna notice there's nothing on the house. The cut-ins are clean. I see a few little runs right here that either will go away on their own, and if they don't at this stage, I'm sure they probably would go back around and hit that with a brush, because if there's runs in oil-based stain, that means you just put the stain on and it's still self-leveling, or you didn't put enough on. So and that's it. And notice how these posts are cut all the way down to the dirt. We want the sealer all the way down. We don't want to stop it high. You know, this is actually the most important area to be sealed, because this is where all the rotting ground contact can occur. So let's check out another photo. So here is another deck. Let's see which one that is. That looks like that same, oh, maybe this is a different deck, I'm not sure. But so what I can see in this picture is an even coat on the floor. I can see that there's no stain drips or anything like that on this house. So obviously this was masked or cut in by a steady hand. And there's no drips under my rails. The color is the same all the way around, which is important. A lot of people tend to let stain drip in these areas off the rails, and then they don't wipe it up or remove it, which could just lead to discoloration. And I see down in the yard down here, they've got a ladder with booties on it. That's going to keep the siding on the house clean and safe, which is a good thing. The contractor's thinking ahead. I see a professional grade sprayer. So that's a gas powered airless sprayer. That's a heavy duty machine, and it's well used. So another sign of a contractor that's been in the game for a while. This is one of the Stain and Seal experts' jobs. There's actually a guy bent over checking something. You can see the back of his shirt says Stain Crew here. We put a lot of miles on these sprayers. We're doing thousands of fences and decks, and that's what we use. And of course, Stain and Seal expert stains. This building here that's in close proximity to the deck has been masked off, and I'm guessing that they've already pulled the plastic down from the house. There's probably plastic on these this furniture too that they've recently removed. So another sign of a professional contractor is masking. Things have been masked. And there's no sheen, there's no overspray on the grass here too, so that means drop cloths went down. Very important. And here's another one. I think this one was done by Pine State Power Washing out in North Carolina. So I got it wrong. So this was actually a clean job. So they just cleaned this, stripped it. So this is not the picture I was looking for. So let's go to the next one here. So here's another indicator of a professional contractor. So if your deck looks like this and you're committed as a homeowner and you want to do it yourself, you can get good results with this. If you just want to go out here and spray some bleach water on this and get a restoration on it, it's not going to work. You're not going to get the desired result. So what I recommend for most people that have a deck that's in this condition, don't tear it down. Call Stain and Seal experts, whoever's local to you. We're here in Nashville and we serve Middle Tennessee, but you can start with this, and if you use the right products, which we have for sale here. So I'll tell you what was used on this one. So this deck was cleaned with wood cleaner right here, which is just a very mild stripper or wood cleaner, and that was applied and it was let dwell for 10-15 minutes, and then it was power washed clean. And this is how clean this deck came. Once you finish the wood cleaner step, then it's time to go with the wood brightener. And the wood brightener does 2 to 3 things. It will neutralize the wood cleaner. It will brighten the wood and bring it to a natural color instead of a bleach white. This is more of a golden yellow color, which is more natural of you know, that 10-year-old deck, what it should look like. And it also opens the wood grain and allows the deck or the fence to absorb more stain, and more is better when it comes to penetration on these oil-based stains. And then the next step is right here, pecan semi-transparent deck stain. And look at this one here. This one again was done by a contractor. It's a great job. They really got the cut-ins nice. They did a few things really well. This backyard was being redone. They were putting new sod down, redirting it. So if I could change anything on this project, if this was a regular backyard that was not getting new grass, I would put masking down right in here, because you can see you do take a chance of getting some overspray on the grass if you don't mask. But again, this backyard's being resodded, so that's the reason. And these oil-based stains that we use are biodegradable. So that's it. Let's see if we can find you another photo, maybe on our website, of just some solid stain jobs. You know, you really just get a totally different finished product when you go with somebody who really knows what they're doing, and just another reason to hire a professional. So there you go. There's a great deck. There's a great fence, and let's keep moving down through the list here. Well, here's another project that would be a good indicator. Slow down. Let's see. So as you see, the common thread as we go through here is, well, my mouse is messed up. New mouse, trying to figure that game out, but so this fence here, you can see the concrete underneath is clean, but it's wet. They're doing that for a reason. So you're going to notice as we scroll through our photo gallery here at Stain and Seal Experts, these projects are even. There's nothing on the ground around these fences. Color looks good, the application looks good, and that's what you want. If you spend a lot of money on these wood fences and decks, lumber is in shortage right now. It's really expensive. It's more expensive than it's ever been to have a wood fence or deck. So it's more important now than ever to really get it stained, sealed, protected. So if you're in the Nashville area, I recommend that you reach out to us. Go to stainandsealexperts.com and check us out. If you're in another area, another part of the country, you can go to our contractor and dealer directory here on our Real Good Stains website, and you can find a contractor in your area. We've got a lot of them, and they're there. They're listed in here on the website. We've got contractors all over, and if they're on our page here, then they care about what they're doing, because they've taken the time to go in and belong to a community of about 2,500 stain contractors that they care about what they're doing. They're professionals, and they're increasing. And this list here has not been updated yet. We've got quite a few more to go on. So so that's it. Appreciate you watching the video. Maybe this will help you to choose a contractor and know what to look out for when you go to hire one. Thanks, guys.